How's it going, everybody? This is Todd with Drabo. Hope you're all having another great day, and welcome back to another video. So I've already shared quite a bit of personal stories already on my channel, particularly with how I became a Jets fan, my weight loss, and my story about going to community college and all that. And a lot of them have really had a lot of different scenarios around them. However, this one that I'm about to share today is probably the most difficult one that I'm about to tell you so far. Now, we're coming up to the end of November, and November has been known to raise quite a lot of awarenesses about certain illnesses and disabilities. But there is one in particular that has been growing nationwide, and that is called autism awareness. And I say that's important because, as I've mentioned before in some of my past videos, I myself have autism, and this has been something that has affected me throughout pretty much my entire life almost. And so for this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how I was diagnosed with autism, why this is important, and how I've been able to overcome this to be able to get to where I am now in my life. So during the time that I was born, before I had autism, I was living life just like any other baby would. I would just be trying to adapt to the world. I would be fed a lot by my parents and, taken to places that would be really interesting. And, that was quite a bit of things that I did during my time as a baby. But during that time, I was also having quite a bit of issues with, some of my speech and some of my physical capabilities as well. And that would be related to my diagnosis that I'll be sharing in this video. Somewhere around the first few months of my life, I had been having a lot of difficulty trying to talk. I was somebody that had a lot of difficulties with saying words, and usually around like 11 or 12 months old is usually when a baby would be sharing their first words overall. I was not among that. In fact, up until I had turned around 16 or 18 months old, I had still not said my first words at the time. And that was the first sign that my parents saw that there was something wrong with me. At the time, there was also like a couple other medical issues that I was also having, regarding like my ability to think freely and all of that. But, I don't remember too much about it. Yeah, speech was mainly the one thing that I was really having difficulties with at the time. In fact, I also had a lack of socialization as well. I was not able to connect very well with a whole bunch of other people, a whole lot of other things during that time. That really started to worry my parents because they feared like there was maybe something that I was having difficulties with learning new things. And so obviously they decided that they needed to have me checked up just in case. And at around 18 months old, which I believe was either May or June, they decided to have me checked up at a doctor's appointment to see exactly what was wrong with me and see the reason why that I have been having difficulties with speaking and learning new things at the time. And it was during that appointment that they got the word that I had been diagnosed with autism. And usually those with autism, they would still have a normal life, but mine was a little different at the time because although I was diagnosed around the age where most other kids that would have the intellectual disability would be diagnosed with at the time, I was really having a whole lot of trouble with a whole bunch of things at the time, and my parents were fearing that I would never be able to have a normal life. So before I continue with the story, let me share you a little bit about autism. So autism, as we know, is one of the fastest rising intellectual disabilities there are in this country. It can affect your ability to speak, it can affect your ability to socialize with other people, and most importantly, it can affect your ability to learn new things. Those are all things that I've had difficulties with when I had my autism diagnosis. And I don't know the actual statistics of how many people are diagnosed with autism because it usually changes varyingly based on what's happening time to time, but it has been continuously rising over the course of years. In fact, there are more people in the United States now that are being diagnosed with autism than there were in years past. And in the future, there's got to be a lot of changes to like education or independent living and all of that because, the more people that are getting autism, the more issues that these kids are going to be able to have when they become adults, be able to live independently so that way they can live a normal life just like everybody else is able to do. And some of these autistic people actually had to end up in group living because they were never able to successfully live independently as regular people. So that's quite a bit of difficulties for somebody that has autism. And for people that have mild autism like me, once you become an adult and graduate from college, you gotta be able to learn to navigate things on your own. And that's something that I myself am gonna have to try to learn about a lot as soon as I finish college a month from now. So anyways, as I mentioned before, autism has been known to create issues with speaking. In fact, because of the issues that I had, I wasn't able to say my first words until I was 4 years old. And that was coming from a karate class that I had taken during that time where I actually ended up saying a whole line from the movie Toy Story, which I loved as a kid. I ended up saying To Infinity and Beyond, which was by Buzz Lightyear, one of the characters in that movie, and that ended up being my first words. And from time to time, it became much more difficult for me to be able to socialize with others because of my autism. I had a lot of lack of communication, and the only time I was even able to make new friends was at school, because once I left school, I barely even did anything at home. I was mostly in my room on my computer or playing video games and just being in my room alone because I was just hesitant and too afraid to talk to people. Another thing that autism has really affected my ability to do is to be able to adapt to change as well. During the times where I was moving around quite a bit, it really put a huge damper on me as a result. As I mentioned before, I was originally living in Union until I was forced to move to Chatham in 2009, and I never really accepted it at first, but after like a couple years or so, and once I started doing all those activities that I mentioned in Chatham, like football and all those after school activities and all that was when I started to get the hang of it. But again, change is something that with my disability, I really had a hard time accepting. And when my mom moved me to Livingston again, once again, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to move before graduation. I wanted to stay in Chatham, but ultimately I was forced to accept the move to Livingston. And then she did the same thing when she moved me to Kinnelon during my senior year. I did not want to do that. I wanted to graduate in Livingston, but ultimately she made me graduate to Kinnelon before I finally came over here to Springfield. And a whole lot of that as well had to do with all the changes that I had to deal with as well, because I had to learn to make new friends, and I wasn't able to see all the other friends I was able to meet with during the past, in Union, in Chatham, in Livingston, and ultimately in Kinnelon as well. And I know that's something that I'm going to have to deal with again as soon as I finish up with college. And so change sucks. However, it's only more complicated when you have autism like I do, and change is something that I still struggle to deal with, even today in some sorts. In addition, I've also had difficulties with learning new things. In fact, there's been quite a bit of things that I have tried to do individually myself that I've never been able to do. And there are only very few things that I've learned that I've been willing to keep, like playing on my video game consoles, or just having fun on my computer, or just going out to do my daily walks every day. It's sort of like some kind of disorder that you have, that you keep doing the same exact things regularly. Autism is almost related to that, because I'm still constantly doing the same things almost every single day, and it's just hesitant to even try new things as a result. And when I do become a individual adult once I graduate from college, I know that once again I'm gonna have to learn a whole lot more new things. Some of the stuff that I've been able to learn in the past, I'm gonna have to reinforce them here when I try to learn how to find a job on my own, or pay for all the bills and house myself, and being able to make the money to afford to buy groceries and all the things that I want to get and all that. So that's something that I am going to have to do once I end up finding my own home. And learning wise, school wise, was something that really proved to be difficult as well as a result of my autism. In fact, at one point during the 6th grade, I ended up being moved down to the smaller level classes because I wasn't doing entirely well. In fact, I was really struggling to keep up with a lot of my classes, but ultimately near the end of my time in public school, I got better and better grade-wise. I was doing better with all my classes. I was doing a lot better with all my homework, a lot better with all my tests and quizzes. And near the end of my time, during the 10th grade, I was moved back over to the higher level college prep level classes, where there were around 20 to 22 other people with me. And during that time, it was still a struggle though, because like I said, in classes like geometry, English, math, and history and all that, those were still classes where those were not some of my strong points, and I had to continuously struggle just to be able to pass those classes, because with my autism, it was increasingly difficult for me to be able to learn those new things. However, it got easier once I was able to get into college. I was able to reinforce what I had learned in high school and middle school and be able to incorporate that into college. And like I said multiple times before, I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record at this point, but I've been doing a lot better in college than I have in middle school and high school. I was able to achieve straight A's in all but one semester, and it's kind of interesting because for somebody with autism like I do, you would not expect somebody like me to do a lot better in college than I would be in middle or high school. But I've been one of the very few autistic students that have been able to succeed in college so far, and there are very few college students that with autism that have been able to graduate. And hopefully those stats improve soon, because I know there are a lot of great autistic people that can do a lot of great things in this world. world. But finally, the most important thing that I've had issues with regarding autism is socialization and making new friends. And unfortunately, as I've mentioned with all the moves, that's been something that I have had to do quite a bit of as a kid. Like I said, I originally started in Union before I had to end up going around to multiple towns, like I said before, Chatham, Livingston, Kinnelon, and before ultimately ending up in Springfield. And a lot of this time, this process had to continue because over time, I was somebody that struggled to be able to hang out with students and friends outside of class. And it's something that I still have issues with today. You know, I have personally had a lot of difficulties with being able to make new friends and socializing with other people because with my autism, it made me kind of nervous to be able to approach somebody and have a conversation with them. And you know, that's something that I really had a lot of difficulties with as a kid. But I am going to give a shout out to one guy that has been able to help me overcome that. And he was a best friend that I had in Chatham when I was living there through middle school and my freshman year in high school. His name was Andrew Ziegler, and he was somebody that almost had the same disabilities like me, but it wasn't autism. And he was somebody that I became friends with during the 6th grade, and we ended up having a friendship that would last all the way till the end of my freshman year in high school when I moved to Livingston. And although I haven't seen him since, I have been able to keep up with him on Facebook and Instagram. And he was really my first true best friend outside Union. And he was somebody that helped me, at least briefly, overcome my issues with learning new things and even just, you know, socializing with other people. And I was able to carry that over to the football team, where I played for a few years in all 3 of those schools, and also on the lacrosse team where I briefly played in Livingston, and a whole bunch of other activities that I got to do during high school and in college as well. You know, I have not seen Andrew since my freshman year in high school, but you know, if there's a time where me and him end up getting a chance to see each other again, I would love the opportunity to do so. So Andrew, if you're watching this right now, if you're interested in rekindling my friendship with me, hey, let me know. I'm open. But I have gotten a lot better socialization-wise in recent years though. And a lot of that had to do with the after-school activities that I did in football and lacrosse in middle school and high school, and particularly in college with my participation in Kidding TV and PTK in general. Because there, I was able to make a lot more new friends than I originally did when I was just in my classes in general. And I had quite a bit of fun there with all my friends there in all of those activities. And as I become independent, you know, this is something that I'm gonna have to continuously work on, because the next step that I have to work on now is trying to be able to build on those relationships and try to keep them going outside of school. Because like I said, once I finish college next month, it's going to be a lot harder for me to be able to keep up with my friends. And you know, that's something that I've had trouble with a lot when I was forced to move out of Union and Chatham, Livingston, and Kinnelon before coming here to Springfield, because I've not been able to see a whole lot of my friends in all of those classes ever since I've made all of those moves. And you know, those are the people that I'm trying to rekindle my friendships with there and be able to get to see with again at some point in the near future. But yeah, I have been very lucky to have all the friends and family that I've had with me during this time that I've been battling my autism, and to be able to defy the expectations and be able to get to this point in my life where I'm now a month from getting my bachelor's degree in, and to be able to make a whole lot of friends that I never thought I was going to be able to make. And you know, I just can't be any more grateful for all the friends that I have. But yeah, like I said, I'm hopeful that in the near future that I use my autism, be able to take what I had learned as a kid and be able to apply it to being an adult, where I start living individually and be able to find a job and continue to make all of my friends and find success in life in general. Because I've proven a lot of people wrong since I've been diagnosed with autism, and you know, I'm just one step closer to becoming a real part of this big adult world that I've really tried to become a part of ever since I was first diagnosed with it. And so I just want to be able to share my story of autism and share it to you as some part of motivation or inspiration to let you know that no matter what disability that you have, it's not going to stop you from being able to go for what you want to go for. Particularly if your interest is in the media industry like mine is, or if you want to become a professional athlete or something like that, there's nothing that's going to stop you. So do not let your intellectual disability define you. It definitely has not defined me, because I was able to overcome it to be able to achieve so much success as an individual. And that's something that I think that can really be passed along to a whole lot of other people with autism. Now, there are more people in this world that are being diagnosed with autism now than have happened in the past, and a lot of those are very great people that can be successful in the near future. And, you know, that's just something that I want to pass over to them, because their autism is not going to define them. All they have to do is just put their mind where it's worth it, and they can succeed just like I have as well. So yeah, to be able to get to this point now, considering where I was when I was at 18 months old, when I was diagnosed with autism, it wouldn't have been possible if I was able to successfully endure all the changes that have happened in my life and to have all the friends and family that I have by my side. And as my life continues, it's something that I'm going to be continuing to work on. And as I said before, I'm not going to let my autism define me. And so that's why I want to thank everybody that has been there with me by my side during this time, so that way I can get to this point where I am now, where I'm about to get my bachelor's degree and hopefully find a job in the media and film industry where I can be successful at. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when my next video is released. Also, be sure to comment below on what videos you would like for me to make in the future, whether it's vlogs, projects, or challenges, or even more personal stories. Be sure to share them in the comments below and I'll do my best to make them. And as always, follow me on social media. All the links are in the description below. So yeah, a little word of motivation today. Do not let your disability define you. You can do so many great things. Just keep pushing it and I promise you, you will get there in no time. That's going to do it for this video. Hope you all are having yet another great day. And as always, I hope to see you all again in another video very soon. So long, everybody.